I'm Steve from Polyhedron Collider, and I'm here with the UK Gaming Media Network. I'm also here with Toby from GCT Studios, who's here to talk about Bushido.
Yes.
So, in case people don't know, what is Bushido?
Bushido is a 32mm Oriental fantasy tabletop skirmish game set in a kind of fictional fantasy world where people take on small warbands of quite unique characters to complete missions and to tell a story on the tabletop. It's quite a cinematic, melee combat-driven system.
Okay, and what's been the inspiration for the game?
We have always, our gaming group always played kind of skirmish games, and we're always really into the kind of more small-scale ones. And so what we wanted to do is a couple of years ago, going back to 2010 maybe, we decided that we had the opportunity, and we're quite lucky enough to means to launch our own company, GCT Studios, and we wanted our first product on the market to be a skirmish game whereby the miniatures and the models and the rules were all kind of high, top-end models. From our own background, we wanted to basically make models that we would want to own ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a guilty pleasure, really.
Yeah, it's got a very Far Eastern influence. But is there anything specific you've taken as that influence, or?
When we were thinking about what we wanted to do and about the possible genres where we could set the world and all this kind of stuff, we were quite certain that we wanted to do something new. Yeah. And at the time, there wasn't really any Oriental games out there, especially model games. And so we were quite amazed on reflection to think about how this massive wealth of really untapped, fantastic material wasn't being used. Yeah. And so we just took that opportunity to go in there and delve into all the coolest parts of the kind of Eastern mythology. So although it's kind of samurai world, we've drawn influences from all over kind of Asia. You know, the cult of Yori, one of our factions, has a very kind of Chinese black magic feel. And there's nods to different elements of different cultures, from Korea to the Mongols, all this kind of stuff.
So there's a lot of skirmish games around at the moment, and especially with like people being able to see all these things on the internet and Kickstarter, there's a hell of a lot in the market at the moment. Yeah. So what separates Bushido from everything else, basically? What makes it unique?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, it's played on a 2x2. Right. So it's very accessible, and that's a couple of reasons that we find makes that really, really good. Is A, you can play it on your kitchen table. A lot of people build really beautifully crafted game boards because the size is that much smaller, so you can put so much more detail and attention into the game boards. Each model in our game is a unique character, so each model is going to do something. You're not going to have any grunts. It's not going to be kind of lots of units and you just take the model off from the back. Yeah. So it's about people who invest only a small amount, because it's a very easy access point. You get a really characterful, flavourful experience. And one of the mechanics that we use, the dice pool mechanic, that we're really happy with and feels that it really reflects a quite engaging and interesting and tactically challenging system whereby you choose how your model is going to react to someone else attacking you. So it's very engaging, and it's I go, you go, in terms of I activate the guy to do something, you activate the guy to do something. Yeah. So there's constantly something going on. So it's lots of fun. Okay.
So this is the main rule book.
Yeah.
So what else do you need to play?
So what you need to play, the rules are actually free online.
Oh, okay.
As are all the profile cards for a model when we release it. Right. The figures when you buy them come with the profile cards to play, but it's just a good way for people to be able to see what they might want to buy before they buy. Yeah. So all you need is a handful of the figures. They range from about £8 upwards. 2x2 area. Yeah. Some 6-sided dice, preferably 2 of each colour, because that's quite important to the mechanic. And someone to play with, really. Okay,
and how many factions do we have, and what's your kind of release schedule like for these things?
Yeah, so we have 6 factions currently. Okay. For people who've looked in the book, there's another 4 that aren't released yet, but they're in the pipeline for being released. And the release schedule that we work to is that every 2 months we release a product for each of the factions that we currently have. The thinking behind that is because one of the things that we wanted to maintain is that the game is constantly evolving. Right. And that people who have invested in the game have always got something new to try out, new to explore. And it enables, because it's such a low model count, for a small investment you can get such diversity in your force, because your force is only comprised of a few models. So the range is kind of, I think we're at like 25 models for most factions now, and you're only going to draw from, you know, between 5 and 10 to play a game.
Okay.
So it gives you a lot of versatility in what you can do, and changing out one model is really flexible. But we've stuck to that 2-month release schedule since we released, and that was really important because we wanted people to have confidence. Like going back to your comment about there being a lot of games on the market, and there's been a boom recently for lots of reasons, for crowdfunding, etc. And it's important for us to have something that distinguishes us from the crowd, and that is that we can be relied upon to consistently support and update the game, essentially.
Yeah. So these new miniatures that come out, are they covered in the main rule book, or do you have extra rule books you have to do to cover these new factions and miniatures?
Well, everything you need to play the model is on the profile card.
Right, okay.
So that means that we can release more or less, and we're not constrained by something that we've put out already.
Right.
So all you need to do to play with the model is to buy the model. You don't need any army book, you don't need any additional rules. You just need to buy the card, and it goes with the rest of the...
So anything you can tell us longer term goals for the game? Anything you got planned?
This year we started our Silver Moon reward scheme, which is a tournament system whereby when people compete in tournaments, enter painting competitions, etc., they can accrue Silver Moon reward points. So it's to support our tournament system. We've had tournaments going on for a couple of years now, but it's just to kind of bring it together and really grow it, so that's something we're looking at doing. And also just expanding it and seeing where we can take it in other kind of game-related avenues, I guess.
Okay. And are you building quite a big tournament scene for this, are you?
Yeah. There's kind of tournaments. There's tournaments as far as Perth in Australia. Quite a big following in Sweden. Over in America, we've got a big tournament at Gen Con. We recently had our Grandmasters event at SmogCon. So there's lots of the tournaments around and about. We've just got on our website. It's probably the best place to find them.
Okay. Before we finish, where can we find out more about GCT Studios and Bushido?
Yeah. So our website is www.bushido/thegame.co.uk.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks so much.